The request of the apostles, the request that they make to Jesus, sounds very reasonable. They have asked Jesus to increase their faith. Given what Jesus has been telling them about the life to which he is calling them, they will need some help. In the past weeks, we have heard Jesus tell his disciples time and time again to count the cost, consider the commitment, take up their cross, deny themselves, to give up all their possessions, to put God above all things, and above even their families, and perhaps most difficult, even themselves. Jesus is telling his disciples that being his follower necessitates accepting responsibilities and ways of living that are hard and which do not happen by accident. Jesus has set that bar pretty high. So, I understand where the disciples are coming from when they plead, Lord, increase our faith. Because when I think about what it takes for me to be faithful, to be to be a disciple of Jesus, I'm with them. Increase my faith. I do not have enough faith either in Jesus or myself to foresee any kind of success in what Jesus is asking me to do. You with me? But let's notice what Jesus says next. Jesus tells them that they don't need more faith. They simply need to open the potential of the faith that they have. Even if that faith is as small as a mustard seed, that faith, when put to use, will have extraordinary strength. A single small seed has in it the potential for becoming something far greater than that one little speck. Ask the people at Wednesday Bible study about the basket of eggplant that I have been bringing in each week for the past month. All of that eggplant, every single one of those, comes from a plant that began with one tiny little seed that was planted in hope and tended and has ended up on about a dozen dinner tables in this room. Followers of Jesus who make the choice to take even the smallest of steps on the journey of being a faithful disciple begin a chain reaction that is equivalent to the splitting of an atom. An atom is so tiny it cannot be seen with the human eye, but when activated, that atom can produce stunning amounts of energy. But the potential of that atom is simply potential until it is activated, realized. So Jesus tells his disciples, just do what you know you should do. Just do it. Notice in the parable that Jesus says, if you have a house servant and you come in from your work, do you ask the servant to sit down with you and share the meal? No. The housekeeper's job is to get your supper on the table. And do housekeepers get any special congratulations for doing what they've been hired to do? No, it's their job. It's not about them. It's about the work they have been given to do. The work they have been given to do. Does that line sound familiar? The call to be a follower of Jesus is to become an active participant in the life and ministry of the church to which Jesus has entrusted his ministry. I saw a poster in a parish hall one time that said, a disciple is someone who has moved from being a recipient of the church's mission to being responsible for the church's mission. Being a disciple of Jesus means practicing radical hospitality and costly forgiveness. It means feeding the hungry and visiting the sick and dismantling systems which foster poverty and feed greed. It means loving those whom we don't want to love. And in the end, when we have done all of that, we've simply done what we were expected to do, and nothing more. That, I think you can see, is a far cry from the kind of popular cultural Christian practice which looks at Jesus for what Jesus can do for us and to make us happy and comfortable and escort us to heaven. A kind of faith which looks at all the things Jesus can do for us and not even be a little concerned about what Jesus is calling us to do for him. That represents a false Christianity and a false discipleship, a discipleship without any obligation or expectation whatsoever. That's clearly not what Jesus is asking of us. Jesus tells his disciples that making the choice to follow him is to make the choice to do hard, difficult things. But those difficult things are not impossible. In Luke's gospel, Jesus says one of the most scary things. Jesus says that his disciples will be able to do even greater things than he did. Think about that. Jesus said that we would be able to do greater things than he did. Those things won't do themselves. Jesus says to us, you already have all you need to do what I have given you to do. You simply need to put it to work. Start small. With faith even the size of a little mustard seed. And let that go to work. And you will be absolutely astounded at what you can accomplish. The natural world in which we live is governed by what we call loosely the laws of physics. Things like gravity works every single time. A body at rest tends to stay at rest. And a body in motion tends to stay in motion. That last one, that particular law of physics, is true of the spiritual life as well. A spiritual life at rest tends to stay at rest. But a spiritual life in motion tends to stay in motion. When we start using our faith, we find that it does grow exponentially. But when we don't use it, it just dies. As disciples of Jesus, you and I have been given a job to do. Our work list is clear and long and daunting and never ending. But Jesus calls you, specifically you, to accept the challenge of being a disciple. Jesus calls you to continue his work in the world. That is an awesome and challenging task. And in doing it, we are only doing what we ought to do. To use that familiar phrase from the Jewish prayer book, it is not ours to finish God's work in the world. Neither are we free not to take it up.